So after spending a little bit of time with my prototype sharpening stone holder, I got to understand what I like and didn't like about it. And this is my nearly complete final version. As you can see, it's massive. It started off by taking some 3/4 inch shop grade plywood. I cut it to 13 inches wide. And I took some maple and I made a 5/8 thick by 1 inch wide front cleat and a 1 inch by 1 inch rear cleat. And I also cut some 1/4 inch wide by 1/8 inch thick maple to make these strips that rise the sharpening stone off of the surface. I final cut the cleats and the plywood to 30 inches in length, and you can adjust that depending on how long you want it to be. This is very scalable. And I left the riser strips long so they could be cut down after they were installed. So I'd like to go back and I'll show you how I got to this point. And we'll start off with the back cleat. So laying out holes for the threaded dowel in the back cleat is straightforward. I went in 1.5 inches from the end and then 3.5 inches on center. And then at this end, I just started putting them 1 inch on center. I felt that if I had some 4-inch wide stones or some various width, this gives me some flexibility. The holes are really fast and easy to put in, so it's easy to do it now. I actually already made this piece once. I put them 3 inches on center, forgetting that my prototype was 3.5, and that's the way I really liked it. And it was gonna put the stones too close together for me. In terms of height, I have this 1/8 inch thick spacer that I'm putting underneath the stone, and I wanted the dowel to come in pretty close to the center of the stone. So when I measure all that out, it works out to be about 1/2 inch up, and this is a 1 inch wide strip, so they're basically going to be all in the center line. Once all the hole locations are established, a 3/8 inch brad point bit is used in a drill press to ensure clean and straight holes. So to tap these holes, make sure it's squeezed in a vise so you don't split the board open. And I like to put the tap in a drill just because it's a lot easier to actually run it through. So to glue these little riser strips on that keep the stone up off the surface of the material, it's fairly straightforward. I'm just going to take and put a bead of CA glue down the entire length of the strip. And I'm going to take the activator and just spray it along that line. And it's going to work from one end, just kind of laying it down, pushing it in place, letting it harden up. Move along following my pencil line. And since the CA glue hardens so quickly, this is really easy to do. And once it's in place, I can come along with a small saw and just trim off the excess. The key to this system is this threaded wooden dowel. So if I take a sharpening stone and you can tighten it in with the dowel, and now it's solidly attached, and which is really key, especially if you're, say, flattening the back of a chisel, where you're actually pushing the chisel this way as well as this way. You might be running in circles or something. It's important that it's really solidly attached. Now, certainly you could probably buy this product. You can use steel threaded rod instead. I happen to have a fixture to make it, and I'm going to go through some of the tips and tricks that I use when I'm making this on my jig. A few quick tips on threading this dowel. This jig uses a router and a pointed bit that as you turn this through the hole, the pointed bit puts the groove in for the thread, and there's a nut inside it that actually feeds the piece through. Make sure when you're setting it up that you have a sample hole that's tapped, that you can ensure that you're happy with the fit. If you're not happy with the fit, make your adjustments to the router, and that could be the height of the router, so the depth that it's cutting into this dowel, and it could also be the location of the router. It might be too close to that threaded nut inside and causing it to bind up slightly. And the best tip of all is on a 1/2 inch dowel, take a 1/2 inch drill, put the dowel on the end of it, and tighten it in, because you have to spin this, and that's a lot of turning unless you're using a drill. I mentioned earlier that this design is very scalable in terms of length. I actually made two at the same time. I made this 9-inch version to hold 3 stones, as well as my much larger 30-inch version that holds 9 or 10 stones. So I've got this one is complete. I've got the threaded rods all done. I made a 1-inch dowel that makes a bit of a handle. And this system, the more I use it, the more I love it. It's so quick and easy. If I want to switch a stone from end to end or flip one over or switch to a different stone, it's that fast. They're very well secured. And it's very effective at holding it. As you can see with these little riser strips, I have a nice gap between the stone and this wood surface, and that allows airflow through it. So I don't worry about leaving a wet stone on here, worrying about getting moldy or rotting out the system. I still need to install a cleat along the back of it. That way I can fix it in a vise and keep the whole unit secure and from moving around. I hope that you use some of the ideas presented here to design your own sharpening stone holder. I think properly securing your stones during the sharpening process is extremely important, and will make the process easier, more enjoyable, and importantly, more effective.